Hi. This is a very important episode because I'm deciding to make it my last episode for a little while and then maybe come back to this whole talking thing later. Therefore, as the last episode for a little bit, until I realign some areas of my life in regards to the studying I have to do, and also in regards to the planning and remembrance I want to do. I don't like the word meditation. I like the word remembrance. How far can your remembrance go? Anyways, however, I want to make this a very long session where I want to communicate certain landscapes and scenarios in which I find is the peak of where an enlightened being may take you. I want to share my own experience, me as whoever I am, of how I experience multidimensionality and altered states of consciousness regardless of any substance or no substance, regardless of anything, nothing. In other words, it is an unearthly innate ability to observe Earth in infinite ways. In other words, wisdom is simply looking more clearly at who you are. That is wisdom. Until you realize that change is who you are changing. And therefore, as change, the games are different. You're no longer just an idea, you're a changing idea. You're no longer self, you're a changing self. You are an infinite self. You are a vastness in which your eyes are endless. Now, regardless, I would like to suggest certain ideas and certain, I guess, an interactive request from people who are following what I'm saying. If you are interested into what I'm saying. In this session of mine, I want to give you certain ideas on where certain talks will go and what I am trying to communicate here. It's a very big evolving process. I am talking about some ideas that many have thought to be forbidden and useless. I am talking about a past that always was the future. A past that always was the future. You see, our mentality is a presence. In other words, you are listening to my voice. There is words, there's a sense of you. However, understand that those are just sounds, and you are just a body. And this is pretty much how science has valued certain views of life. When science has based its searching and empirical research, there is an understanding that if science's seed was based on separation, it is not meant to find a unified light. In other words, how you approach everything in life has a very deep implication that the decision is coming no longer from a sense of you, but from life, from existence. As if you never needed to question, who are you? It's as if language never needed to be this absorbing of our reality, of making it real. In other words, we are a process of evolution, and no human being should feel wrong but every human being, no human being should feel wrong or judged, but every human being must understand the value in searching for a life purpose, something to provide, something to give, an amazing ride in which your human presence on this planet is providing the greatest benefit in which your mind can give to humanity. In other words, look at your inspiration and find it as transparent as your existence. If you are lost in the eyes of men, then you have the problems which men have. If you're lost in the eyes of God, you have the problems that God have. If you speak when the silence was present, there was no need for words. The communication that we receive in regards to collective consciousness, planetary consciousness, and how each individual is extraterrestrial as the ideas are broken into an omnipresence of universal existence, of origin existence. You see, ideas are a platform, and I am the pilot, and I am pointing to the silence that will be your journey, an internal journey. Therefore, as your pilot of consciousness in regards to where we are now, we are going to explore ideas. We're going to explore existential ideas. We're going to explore ideas that no school has asked its children. No school can even dream of asking. But now I am saying this. I am talking selflessly about humanity, and humanity needs to listen to every human being, not just me. Not that everybody else needs to listen to me. Every human should be so comfortable to listen to another human being and have a vibrant and harmonious co-creation into man's transcendence. Therefore, the idea of enlightenment is valuable only if you feel there's more to it and you need to search for it regardless of the logic. In other words, when you seek a natural path, similar to how perhaps a child in the Native American tribe never needed to speak, but to know and then speak, to know and then speak, to reach pure certainty in which your voice can never be judged, because you cannot be judged, because no one can be judged, because there never was judgment. There never was a judgment day, but the Creator's ability to look through His own eyes in its own illusion. Therefore, to carry on, your mind is not a box. Your idea self is not a box. If anybody ever wants to spiritually experience life and to have a spiritual experience of life, you are not meant to be persuaded and locked into other people's ideas. Spirituality is a personal journey. It is you being a human and thinking about why you are here, why you exist in such a way. You have that kind of a longing to know what you are, not no longer who you are or who you were, but what am I? What is the source of my presence? Why these images, these locations of imagery? And then recognize that similar to how volcanoes give off ash, you're always part of every burning creature. When lava was pulled by gravity, Volcanoes are not a massacre by gravity. They are voices of the earth. When you look at nature, and hopefully look more self-reflectively through my voice, that it is teaching you values. If you look at how animals move, if you look at how plants are, if you look at how leaves are, and you go there and you have no idea, you're simply present in front of a tree, beside a tree, you have no judgment, you're not like, this is just a tree and I'm not crazy, you know what I mean? And you just simply go stand, and you stand by a tree, and you have no idea. You have no idea, literally no opinion of this tree. You're just here. You're just looking at it. And you simply decide that because you have no judgment of this tree, you're not going to create a scenario that is going to make you feel like, oh, I shouldn't do this. You are allowed to experience your consciousness while touching a tree. So, I continue. And I touch a tree as I am doing now. And I communicate that when you touch a tree, and you need to stay in there for a while. Let me tell you why. Because you need to see how the creatures on the tree are living. I see snails. I see how they're simply present. And what is the purpose of a snail? Is the purpose of a snail to hang on to the bark? Similar to how gravity is simply its excitement for a snail. When it falls, it feels alive. But when it's on the bark, it is feeling its entrapment. Why am I a snail? You realize life is asking the same question because survival is within everything. And by touching a tree, you recognize that there are great lessons in nature. And you realize that the hand that has touched the tree has a different vibrancy and energy and different field around it. Your head feels clear. You realize that the snail is moving upwards on the tree, and you look up and you see, wow, the amazing branches that are present. You see that the bark of the tree is first the introduction of the foundation of how a tree is built. You look at the design of a tree and you see outlines as great in which that you can imagine, and you see that your mind continues and it follows its own understanding of the settlement of the pond, the mirror in your breath. To carry on, life can have both tangible and intangible qualities. Life can feel both free and unfree. But you need to be aware that regardless of how you experience your life or how you think your fate is going to be and how you think your next thing's going to be, you are aware and present and can control your experience of the moment. You can simply be aware to a degree that you never attract a scenario like that. Native Americans had this very interesting view where they had allies, which they found these allies through the smoke. When Native Americans smoked in regards to shamanic activity, they acknowledged the smoke as the ally. It's as if when they went on their trips, when they went on their altered states of consciousness, they perceived an ally. They perceived a higher, vaster sense of collective intelligence that is a co-creator in your subtler mind, in your subtler thought realm, as if your imagination was not just from you, it was connected to other minds as well. It's as if your imagination was an existential collective presence of all information here. You know? Guys, how open you consider yourself as a human being should be defined, or hopefully never even be used in the future as a definition of self-reflectively clearing a heavy past. No, you don't need to carry a heavy past. Interact with nature and look at nature when you go and before you touch a tree, for example, you don't just run and hug a tree or touch a tree. Before you go, you stand and you look at the tree from a distance. Right when you see the tree, whatever distance you're, you stop and you just look at the tree. You acknowledge it. You see distance. You look at your logics and truth in regards to what you're considering this tree to be. And you see that the plants are going through a physical growth process that is so much more clearer and purer than the mechanical systems. In other words, the rainforests and the Amazons are fountains of existential knowledge. However, some people choose to sit literally in other people's ideas, which is the ideas that help perhaps make a car. Physical abundance is not the key to life. It is simply a comfortable seat. You want to transcend your comfort. Never be too comfortable, never be too uncomfortable. Be clear in your view and gaze as deeply into your enemies as deeply as you do to yourself. In other words, never find anyone guilty because you find pure, compassionate, existential value in other human beings. Guys, be happy that human beings are alive. Because human beings are integrating, their ideas are becoming collective, and because their ideas are being collective, they need to clean up their acts and create a clear and a beautiful future. Kids are growing up every day. Clarity and wisdom and existential relevance can be introduced to children. And this can be done to any human being. It doesn't matter. It's no longer what you're doing after, college. It's more in the terms of what am I doing now in life? Guys, curiosity killed the cat. And it was a good thing because that curiosity was never from a cat. That curiosity was from the idea of a cat. Therefore, I hope the value that comes to you in how you self-reflect and how you receive my words suggest that nature is your ally. Please understand this. Nature is your ally. Guys, there's some things literally our culture just skipped. And it was the valuable act of kindness. Do you know what I mean? In other words, when you are standing, for example, and you do a completely selfless act. In other words, you just do the most. It's, for example, if you had a huge jewel in your hand and someone came here and said, "Give me this jewel," you would give it instantly. When you do that, you realize it's as if you are experiencing a higher state of consciousness right here on earth. The Dalai Lama and all monks and Zen masters and those who have silenced their mind through becoming the silence, all those great teachers which are present, are now the route in which our ambition must go to break itself. Nature is your ally, regardless of how you work with yourself. This is what I want to tell you for now. If anyone sees me and wants to understand more and talk about life and how a very deep existential and perhaps very self-conscious path would be, I would really be interested to talk about these ideas, because it is one life, it is one moment. We are to be alive now, And that means it doesn't matter if we think to be young or to be alive means to party. It's important to be at a very vast and comfortable and heightened range of self-awareness to everything, in which there's literally no context for a problem to be created in your life. When you go at that state of you don't judge yourself anymore, there's a peace. You are comfortable with the silence. You're comfortable with your mental dissolution. And it's fine, because you're more than an idea. Peace is found only within. Because if you try to bring peace externally, internally, it's as if you've always thought you had to bring peace because the world wasn't at peace. Be a person who's comfortable with a better world and a greater world, and don't have ideas about how bad the world is. Focus your attention on the good ideas of humanity. Guys, every generation alive now is a reconstructive human unit for Earth and the environment. Save the planet. That's very valuable. Thank you.